Well, hello, welcome back to Tail 3 Cabins. We're doing a little test here today, something a little different. But our refrigerator right now is not on the grid. And we're doing a little test that's going to take about 72 hours. And we'll get into why it's 72 hours in a little bit. But right now what's powering this fridge is this device right here, a Jackery Explorer 1000 V2. Typically, most of us that are on the grid all over the country usually do not have too many issues with their electricity. Occasionally, you will have a little power outage. Maybe you have a car hit a pole, branches take down some wires, and usually the power might be out for 2-3 hours typically. When it's something a little bit more serious, and I've noticed that when it's a serious thing like a tornado or some sort of catastrophic weather event, 72 hours appears to be around the average when it takes to get the power back on, depending how severe the event was. But 72 hours is a good round number. If for some reason things are going to be out longer than 72 hours, then you probably have more issues than just worrying about your meat and cheeses in the refrigerator. So what would you need in an event like that? 72 hours is a long time. I can tell you that we had some tornadoes last year in the summertime, and a couple of our relatives had power knocked out for 3 days. And we used some various power stations for them to keep their refrigerators going. Now typically the main concern when you have a power outage is the food in your refrigerator. Most of us at any time probably have a couple $100 worth of produce inside their refrigerator. Sometimes an outage like that might be a good time to clean things out and get rid of old stuff that's been laying around in there. But meat is costly, dairy's costly, everything's costly nowadays. So the main concern is keeping your food from going bad and then also being able to use your refrigerator during a power outage event. Now the goal to see if we can last 72 hours. We're using a little bit of solar outside. The weather is going to vary the next 3 days. We're trying not to tap into any electric. I thought this would be a good test, especially you folks out there are looking for a power station and wondering what size to get and what can you do with it. This Jackery was a good size to run this test. Still very portable and small that you could take it with you on camping trips if you got a camper van, tent camping, various outdoor activities, but it's still big enough to handle some good size appliances like coffee makers, microwaves, even some power tools. But I'm pretty sure that this is going to be too much for this power station. So let me just swing around here, plug it in. And let it go. Nope, not gonna work. So let's just get into the specs of this unit just to show you what it's capable of, and then we'll get back to our test and see how we do after 72 hours. So this is a Jackery power station, and Jackery was in the forefront when it came to solar generators or portable power stations, and they've been around for quite a while. They usually have very good marketing. You see them everywhere. You'll see ads on Facebook, and I've seen them at Home Depot and Costco. And I've reviewed quite a few power stations in my day, and I have quite a few that I use on a daily basis. And I kind of shied away from the Jackery for the longest time. And when I got my first power station, they just started adopting a lithium iron phosphate battery as the go-to. And the lithium iron phosphate battery has more usable cycles, over 3,500 typically on a portable power station, and Jackery was using the lithium ion battery still, and they just started switching over to the lithium iron phosphate batteries about 2 years ago, and pretty much their whole lineup now is with the new LiFePO 4 batteries, which is preferred by most people when it comes to portable power stations. And one of the main reasons I wanted to use this power station for this test is because Jackery boasts that this is the smallest and lightest 1 kilowatt hour power station on the market. So a power station with this storage still gives you a pretty good punch, but still very small and still very portable. And I thought it would be neat to try this because if you're out in the market for a power station, I get asked all the time, what size do I need? So let's just go into the specs real quick of this power station. So when they say smallest and lightest, this comes in just shy of 24 pounds. I believe it's 23.8 pounds. It's not too small and it's not too big. Now, if we look at the front at the ports that we have here, a 12 volt DC outlet, and that's 10 amps. There's a USB-C, and that's 30 watts. Another USB-C, which is 100 watts, which is great for MacBook Pros. And then you have your USB-A port, that is 15 watts. Over here, you have a nice multicolored display. It shows you all your information, how much time is left before the battery is going to be depleted. My refrigerator is running. Don't mind the orange cord sticking out of this, but I am still doing the refrigerator test. This is evening number 2. Right now, this evening, we're at 89%, and we'll see what happens when I wake up in the morning where we're at, and we'll see if we can gain anything with solar. It's supposed to be a cloudy day, so this might be the end of the test. Tomorrow morning, we'll see. Then you have three-prong outlets here. Those are powered by a 1500 watt inverter that can surge up to 3000 watts. Over here, you have a light, which is not too obtrusive, a nice diffused area light. You make it a little brighter, and then of course you have your SOS signal, just like most other power stations that have a light. A lot of power stations are going away from the light, and I really like using the light, especially when you have a power failure. On the side, this is where you have your inputs to charge the power station. You have your AC input right here. You have 2 DC 80/20 ports, each capable of putting in 200 watts of solar, so a total of 400 watts of solar can be put into this unit. I'm using 2 solar panels out there now. Now, pretty much any manufacturer of a portable power station also sells solar panels, and Jackery is no different. And the advantage of getting the same brand name solar panels is usually your connections are going to fit. You won't have to worry about special connections. It's pretty common for different power station manufacturers to have different connections and different wattages and different amp requirements for their solar inputs. So when you look at Jackery's, they're pretty much designed to go with their Jackery power station. And I will say that I'm pretty surprised. These were very easy to fold out and get started. There's 200 watts here to my left, and the smaller one is 100 watts. They have a pretty long cable. As you can see, I have it running in through the window. And this is a good setup down here in Southern Ohio because the sun rises over here, sets over there, so I'll have all day sun to keep feeding the power station. In fact, today it was able to compensate for what was used overnight and get us back to 100%. We do have variable cloudiness up there, but when the sun is shining, we're pulling in about 280 watts. And when it's overcast or the clouds are in the way, we're pulling in around 80. So 80 is what the refrigerator is typically running right now. Now, I'm not going to say that it's going to be like that all the time. If we had a gray, rainy day where it's constantly raining, well, then we'd be in some trouble, and we probably would not be able to recoup, and we would be in danger of running out of juice on that power station. So what would you do in that instance? Now, when we had the tornadoes last summer, not everybody lost power in the whole area. So certain people that lost power, not that far away from them, a mile or two, there were neighborhoods that still had power. So if you have a friend or relative, and let's say we're charging the fridge right now and the battery is getting down to 10%, this portable power station also supplies an app in it, which you can change certain settings. You can turn the power on and off. You can turn the light on and off. In the app, they have a feature called Emergency Supercharge, which will allow this to be charged in 1 hour. So once you toggle that little switch and you go to charge it, it will charge at a higher, quicker rate within 1 hour. So if your battery is getting low and you are powering the refrigerator like I am here, and you have somebody nearby, a mile or so, or maybe a little further, where you could just take this, take it to their house, charge it up for an hour. Your refrigerator is only going to be without power for an hour and a half, which is fine for most refrigerators, especially freezers. But that would be a good plan B if you don't have enough solar out there, and that's probably what I would do. Okay, a few things about these panels. As you can see, it's easy for me to run these cables into the window, and I have the power station sitting on the little table there just inside the window, and that works out perfect. If you have a little bit longer distance to go, you can actually buy extension cables for these and extend it up to 26 feet altogether. Cables that this comes with are around 10 feet long or 3 meters. And then the extension cable is another 16 feet. helpful even if you're camping and you need to find a sunny spot and you've got your tent in the shade, you have some room to maneuver. There's also a little pinpoint bullseye on the upper right corner here, same on that one. That'll help you align it with the sun so you can get a perfect angle on there if you like. I haven't messed too much with the angle. The bullseye is just off of being in center here. If I mess with it a little bit, I'm going to get a little bit more wattage out of it, but right now we're just leaving them fixed stationary. I could also move these with the sun. As the sun is coming across here, I could probably just move them a little bit, and then when it starts going down, I could probably, before nightfall, take them and direct them towards where the sun is going to come up and boost my wattage a little bit in the morning, and then face it directly south for the rest of the afternoon. Use the manufacturer's solar panels. You're going to get the right inputs, you're going to get the right connections here, the necessary wattage and voltage, so you're not going to damage anything. You can get other solar panels that you might be able to save a little bit of money on if you know what you're doing, if you know how to not overload the voltage on these things, because different solar panels have different maximum voltage that comes out of them. And if you're able to decipher that information, then you can probably save a little bit of money getting third-party panels. But I do think that Jackery did a nice job with the solar panels that came with this. When you open up the box and unpack it, it's nicely packed. There's really just the orange, signature orange Jackery cord and a manual, and that's really about it. A few other things to take note if you haven't realized it already, but it does support pass-through charging, so we were charging off the solar panels out there while still providing power to the refrigerator. And same thing with the UPS function. You can plug it into an electrical outlet, pass through that power to whatever you want to supply power to. I'm going to do a test of the voltage that's coming out of there, and actually the refrigerator is on right now, and I'm reading 119 volts of AC at 60 hertz. Let me move my arm. The pure sine wave looks good. No spikes, nothing dirty, acceptable for all your delicate electronics. But we'll get back to the completion of our test. Also, Prime Day is coming up, and I know that Jackery is gearing up for a lot of big sales during Prime Day. It would be a good time to get a combination of solar panels and power station. So back to this refrigerator test. Now, last summer when we had the tornadoes, I realized that a lot of people have more than one refrigerator. So I only have one refrigerator here in Southern Ohio. But if you have multiple refrigerators, or if you feel that this test is just not going to cut it for you, well, then you would probably look at a larger power station. Jackery makes, of course, multiple levels of power stations, from the very small and tiny to this size to very large that could power your whole house, that have split phase that could deliver up to 50 amps, supply power to both phases in your house. Leading up to and during Amazon Prime Day, Jackery has up to 65% off on a lot of their power stations and solar panels. So I'll leave links in the description below, and if there's any coupon codes, I'll leave that down there also. Okay, I did a little manipulation here of the solar panels. I'm aiming them east as we're trying to get a little bit more of the morning sun here. And there's some dark clouds just behind the trees coming in, so I don't know how well we're gonna do. We're coming up on 48 hours. Let's go check the power station and see where we're at. Okay, fridge is off right now. We're taking in 250, somewhere between 230 and 250 watts of power, which is pretty good considering what the skies you just looked at were. Okay, it is noon. We've been 48 hours. We started noon 2 days ago. This morning when I woke up, power supply was right around 40%, 41%, and we started getting a small bit of wattage out of the solar panels. It's kind of overcast out there today, and I don't know if we're gonna recoup to 100% by the time the sun goes down. Right now we are taking in 130 so watts. It's jumping all over the place. So we've recouped from 40% to 66%, and it's noon now. But we got a good bit of clouds that it's gonna roll in. It's been overcast most of the morning. We'll see if we can get back to 100% by evening. If we can do that, we can definitely make the full 72 hours. If not, it could be close. Even with the rain coming down, the solar panels are still kicking in about 44 watts. Right around 2:30, the sun is trying to peek out there, and we did get a couple of spurts of 300 watts coming off those solar panels. Clouds are back, so it's a little bit of off and on. It would really be nice to get up to 80% before nightfall, but we'll see what happens. This is our last evening. It's about 7:30, and at this time last night we had about 96% left on the power station. Right now it's showing 85%. We did recoup pretty good this afternoon, not to 100% like the 2 previous days. So I'm a little concerned that we might not make it to our 12 noon goal tomorrow. So we have 12 hours plus about 4 more. We've got 16 hours to go. I don't think we're going to get any help from the solar in the morning, just the way the weather is. It's been raining now, and it's supposed to rain overnight and just be cloudy tomorrow. We'll see if we can make it till noon. But so far, it's actually been a good example of what you could do if you have a few solar panels and what these things are capable of. We'll see what happens tomorrow morning, see where we're at, and if we can make it till noon.
Well, good morning. It's 8 a.m. Let's see where we're at. We got 4 hours left to go in our test. It's pretty overcast outside, 34%. We're in better shape than I thought. Let's see where we're at noon, and we'll wrap this up.
All right, we're almost there, but just before we end this little test, I want to briefly mention this little guy here. Now, Jackery sent this along with all the other stuff to me, and they were concerned that my little experiment that I wanted to do, that maybe this wasn't going to handle it, and they wanted to send this also as a little supplemental power supply. I never ended up using it for the refrigerator experiment. I did use it to power the lights when I was producing the video, and a few other things, charging camera batteries and stuff like that. But this is a Jackery Explorer 300. It's actually been out for a while. It's really going to be close to 5 years. It uses the older battery technology. It also uses a power brick. They still sell it, but I think they're clearing them out because they're pretty cheap right now. They're right around $160, $169. My opinion of this is it's cute. It weighs around 7 pounds. I could see the attraction when this first came out, why people liked it so much and why it's been so popular and why they've kept it around. But if you want something a little bit better, a little bit newer, well, Jackery makes a 300 Plus. That does everything a little bit better. It gets rid of the power brick. It uses LiFePO batteries instead of the lithium ion. Overall, a little nicer, just a little bit more price to it, but not much. Now, my opinion of the 1000 version 2. So of course, V2 stands for version 2. There must have been a version 1, and they did do a lot of advancements and changes with this. Same thing with the battery chemistry. But I have to say, this was better than I expected. And I'm not being paid to say that. I give you an honest opinion of what I feel like. I've tested multiple power stations in the past couple of years. I usually do not like to bring something to you if it's really not worth your time or my time using it. You might not see a lot of negative reviews when I review something, and that's just because I don't want to waste your time if it's not worth buying. I have poo-pooed stuff in the past, and if you want to check out something recent, check out the video I did about my pickup truck's generator. I pretty much trashed that. But this Jackery 1000 turned out better than I expected, and it's solidly made, it's compact. I like the little handle on here. The inverter is just the right amount for larger appliances, but you got to know its limitations. And it's capable of doing our little experiment here, which is what a lot of people think about. They want to use this for multiple things. So they want to use it for camping, they want to use it for power outages and backing up certain appliances, because these things can be pricey, and especially if you pair them up with solar panels. So we want to get as much use out of these products as we can. I used the app quite a bit when I was just monitoring what the charge level was on here. I did it several times during the night when I was laying in bed, just to make sure that, you know, our food wasn't going to spoil in the fridge or that the battery was getting low. But probably what impressed me the most, the solar panels, the Saga 100 and 200. Very easy to set up. They're bifacial. I don't think I mentioned that before, but they can take energy from the front of the panel from direct sunlight, and then they also could collect energy from the rear of the panel from reflective sunlight. So they're very efficient. They did quite well, especially with these overcast skies. They are IP68, so that's dust and water resistance levels. And you saw I had them out there in the rain. taken a pretty good beating with some pretty heavy rains. I did protect where the connection, where the cable comes into the solar panel, just strategically the way I placed it. I didn't like wrap it up or anything or cover it up under the overhang of the house. It is a weather tight seal, but I just personally didn't want to chance it. Right now they're sitting flat out there and it's been raining quite a bit. And again, they're still actually bringing in a little bit of wattage. So 9 watts right now. It's pretty cloudy and overcast. Compared to a lot of the other panels I've used, they're very lightweight and very efficient. We are at noon. It's been 72 hours just using a Jackery 1000 V2 and Solar Saga panels out front. And where are we at? 19%. We could probably go another 4 hours without any solar added into here. But if we had to go any longer with a day like today, we would probably have to find some other means. Either take this to a friend's or relative's house and borrow a cup of wattage, or find some other means to supply power to the fridge. But we lasted 72 hours. I hope this is a good example of what the Explorer 1000 is capable of, but also how many different factors and conditions can affect power supply needs. That's going to do it for today. I appreciate everybody watching. Hope you enjoy and subscribe to these videos. Click on that little bell when you want to know when new one's coming out. And keep an eye on us. Take care, everybody.